decided who they were, what they were, how they would or would not accept me. And once I went and I had that openness, and my relationship with them for years and years and years until they passed away was something that I treasured. And I got married and I bring my kids there on Sukkot. It was a relationship that I treasured. But the ayin before the peh. Someone wanted to say something? Yes?
So I don't get something. If you ahead of time thought that you wouldn't be accepted there, then you spoke before you saw, and that's what's manifesting, no?
And that's why I didn't want to go at first. I already decided. But once I went, I felt, wow, I was able to feel that this is not what I thought. I went with a bit, I guess I went with a bit of an open mind.
Okay.
I must have had a bit, all right.
Changed your,
I was willing to change. I was, look, we always lean a certain way. And I don't know if we can ever avoid that, but we have to make sure that we're not locked in. Right? We might be leaning a certain way, but we have to be willing to open our eyes and our hearts to see something else.
From the Meraglim, because
they were
minded.
correct. They were locked in. They were locked in. Yes, Jan.
It's interesting that you about the funerals that you say this notion pre-colored them, because you've often commented that the first Islamic cadre saw services on Yom Kippur and they thought this is how you pray, and that's how the 5 times a day came. So just this small snapshot and this certain mindset, and it flowed through.
Yeah.
So there's a similarity there.
Yeah. Just one other point I want to bring out over here. Right, this is talking about how we perceive others, right? But let's come back to page 802 where we were. And the last thing they said, Pasuk Lamed Gimel, verse 33, right? Page 802, 803, coming back to the Parsha now. The last thing they said was, before we had the pasuk that everyone started crying, V'sham ra'inu et ha-nefilim, we saw there the Nephilim, b'nei anak, the children of giants from these Nephilim. V'nehi ve'einenu k'chagavim, v'chein hayinu be'eineihem. Those 6 words are incredible. And we were in our eyes like grasshoppers. And that's how, and so we were in their eyes. Wow.
They already made up their mind.
Right. If I view myself a certain way, then I'm sure the world sees me as that. Once we were in our own eyes inconsequential, weak, like grasshoppers amongst these giants, then we were convinced that that's how they saw us. So we color the way that we see others, and also we color the way that we see ourselves, and then we are sure that everyone else sees us the same way. And that works in the negative, and that works in the positive. That works in the negative when we view ourselves, ma'ani, me'ani, machayai, who am I, what can I accomplish, right? Or I'm coming into the synagogue, I don't really know what's going on, right? So I'm a nobody, people are going to look at me and see that right? And also works in the negative way, right? When we overinflate ourselves, right? And we view ourselves in a inflated, haughty, in a chametz sort of way, right? And we're convinced that that others also will see just how great and amazing we are. And it's so important to have a realistic, positive view of ourselves, right? The cardinal rule, v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, to love someone else like yourself. Well, in order to do that, what do you have to first do?
You have to love yourself.
You have to love yourself. You have to see to validate yourself, to see who you are, to see just how much you bring to the table. Leah.
Just a comment. A colleague of mine at work, she's Christian, and she called her newborn son Caleb. And
Kaylee?
Caleb, like
Caleb.
And I was kind of surprised. Why would anybody? I was asking myself, does she know the meaning? You know, it's a dog, right? Why would anybody call the baby a dog?
A dog?
Caleb.
Well, Caleb is a dog. If it's vowelized differently, Caleb is a name.
It's my so actually, what she said, no, that actually he called the son, Caleb is Caleb because of the faithfulness, because the biblical Caleb was very faithful to God.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's a dog.
Yeah.
So that meaning actually extends to other religions.
Interesting.
too.
Yeah.
So I wonder.
Look, and Caleb was powerful. He stood up against the 10 with that faithfulness. Right?
Is that the meaning of that name? in the
איפה?
Bible?
לאה? כלב, כמו לב. זה כלב.
זה האינטרפרטיישן המודרני.
They study Bible too. They study Bible.
I do.
Yeah.
They do. They
To
know.
the heart, I see.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But Caleb was faithful. You know, they say man's best friend, right?
Right, so I wonder if that's the biblical interpretation of the name as well, or is it just...
There is that connection that we make. I don't think he was called, puppy, right? But yeah, right. So it's fascinating that this whole parsha is about what we see, right, and how we perceive it, whether it's by others or by ourselves.
Like we say that beauty is in the eyes of a loving person.
Yes, of the eyes of the beholder. Yeah,
But
yeah,
at the same time, like Nazis, how they perceived Jews.
yeah.
But the most terrible thing that many Germans who were friends with Jews, and they started under the influence of them to perceive them also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Propaganda, how it can negatively.
But I have a question.
Yes.
They were killed. The tens.
Yes, they died
Was the punishment
in a
proportionate to the crime, or is it they had to
the
outprove
Torah
or-
says they died with a plague, that their tongues became distended, right? Which links to their speech. Just one last idea. The very last paragraph of this parsha is the parsha of tzitzit, right? And when we say the Shema Yisroel, we have 3 paragraphs of Shema. The third one is over here, is taken from this parsha, page 816. Tzitzit are the strings on the talit, on the... Hashem said to Moshe, saying, Daber al b'nei Yisrael. I'm on page 817, verse 37. V'asulam tzitzit ha'kaveh v'dehem, to make the tzitzit on the corners of their garments, l'doratam. V'natnu al tzitzit ha'kanaf p'titchen, and we place a blue string. We no longer have the dye from which we needed to dye the tzitzit string, some of them blue. V'yalachem l'tzitzit, or item oto, they'll be for you tzitzit, you'll see them. Uzachartem et kol mitzvot Hashem, you remember all the mitzvot of God. V'asitem otam, v'lo taturu. And you will not taturu. Interesting, you will not stray. Right? Go back to page 798 if you want to just hold it. Shlach Hashem v'yaturu at Eretz Canaan. Right? Send forth the people and let them, we say spy, but it's the same word. V'yaturu. Let them visit right? V'lo taturu, and you will not stray, acharei levavchem v'acharei einechem. So the tzitzit are meant for us to be a reminder. We see the blue, it reminds us of the ocean, reminds us of the sky, reminds us of God. So when we see things, we're meant to bring it to a good place, to a holy place, as opposed to, Rashi says, V'lo taturu kamo mitur haaretz, from spying the land. Halev ve'einayim heim hamaraglim leguf. Rashi says the eyes and the heart are the spies of the body. Misar similot, right? The eye sees, the heart desires, and the body then goes ahead and acts. So the redirection of our, not just our glance, but our focus, right? And to see the good, to see the positive, to not have the mouth, the peh before the ayin. The peh before the ayin we saw in Eicha, that's what leads to lamentations. That's what leads to destruction. That's what leads to exile. Both in what we see amongst others and also by the grasshoppers, how we perceive ourselves. Right? You know, kids, you know, I can't do that. Everyone's going to be looking at me. Right? People, everyone's worrying about themselves. Not everyone is looking at you. You don't have to worry, right? But to have that positive, realistic view of ourselves, Yahavta l'reacha kamocha. Once I have the kamocha like me, then I could see the positive, but not have the peh before the ayin. But to have that open eye to see the positive in me and see the positive elsewhere. And that, right, we say that the destruction came about through sinat chinam, through this unbased animosity between us, and the binyan, the rebuilding of the temple comes about when we see the good in all that is around us, and that's what leads to the avat chinam, as opposed to the sinat chinam, assuming the good, the better, and the positive. Okay, we'll call it amen. We'll call it over here.
Thank you very much.